Hello, so today I'm going to be going over a Pyro Shapeshifter Varus game. So if you haven't played this line, it's actually very strong, and it's one of the most reliable 4-cost boards you can play in the current meta. But I feel like you have to really high roll to play into it. A lot of times the 4-cost boards are very hard to play when there's a lot of reroll, because it's very hard to guarantee particular backline units or particular 4-cost units, as well as to have good item economy to like actually itemize the different units. And to find a point of stabilization, because like, you know, one copy of a unit isn't typically enough, because if people are rerolling in your lobby, it might be very hard for you to preserve enough HP in order to have the time to hit your board if you're trying to go for like these late game spike on stage 4 type of boards. But anyways, this is a really funny game. It was when I was streaming. I kind of pivot into the comp, which is really humorous in my opinion, because I think I started off and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna play reroll, which is kind of like how I usually angle myself in this patch. And I also think tomorrow's patch, even though it's like a major update, I'm pretty sure it's still going to be like predominantly reroll. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it will be. So just get used to like a tempo of similar tempoed lobbies with or without hero augments, because the hero augments are getting nerfed. I don't know how much it's going to impact some of them. I think the Lilio one might be a little bit more tame at least. But either way, here it's like I'm either going to take Stars Are Born or Pandora's. I think that my early game items feel so awkward that I would rather just take Pandora's. The reason I say that is because if you look at my items, there's not really any of those that I'm particularly aiming towards making, right? Like, you know, we had cloak, belt, glove, chainmail, right? Like the best thing you can probably make is like a steadfast for a frontline unit, which isn't even that good, because steadfast is pretty bad on honeymancy units. Honeymancy units, you like to put more like other types of tank items. You don't want items that give them durability or reduce the amount of damage they take, because honeymancy as a trait works as the more damage that you take, the more damage you inflict in terms of the bees. So I just take Pandora's here. I'm just going to roll into Kog'Maw items as much as I can. I'm not going to slam any items the first couple turns, just because I want to make sure that I find a bow as early as possible, because Kog'Maw likes a lot of bow items and kind of work around that. But anyways, so the thing is that I'm obviously going to pivot off this comp, and it'll be really funny what happens later, which is why I pivot. So I'm just going to go into the stats, not stats, I'll just go into like team builder to show you what board I'm going to eventually end up playing. So the board that you usually play is something around vertical shapeshifter and Varus. So on level 8, basically what you do is you'll play, I'll just put in all of these guys for now. You'll basically play all the shapeshifters, and then your backline will be some variation of Varus +1. So a lot of times when you're at a lower level, when you're not like level 9, I mean like if you're level 8, you'll basically play this, right? Shapeshifter got a bunch of buffs. It's not really getting nerfed. Nothing's really changing with Shapeshifter, and a lot of the Shapeshifter units are getting buffed next patch, so expect this comp to still be very viable. But basically, just hold on to all the Shapeshifter units. If you have an opener where you have a couple Shapeshifters, you can usually play yourself towards this. And you'll basically stack 6 Shapeshifter, because it just gives them a huge amount of HP. And Varus is a very slow attacker. I find that Varus can do a lot of damage and can get the executes off if you give Varus time to cast. But Varus is like really lame a lot of the times, and is incapable of doing that on his own. So it works really well in this type of situation, because the Varus will have enough time to do damage if you have a really strong front line like this. So you usually play 6 Shapeshifter. You're never dropping to like 4 Shapeshifter or playing some other thing in between. You're just trying to Giga Juice this Nasus to make like an insane tank. And then Nico, the Sway, and the Shyvana are all going to work out to be really strong. And then you want to play Varus with 1 Blaster unit to help give Blaster damage. But a lot of times you might not even need to play Blaster. 2 Blaster isn't that important. Your early game will typically be like some rendition of some Shapeshifters, and usually you're playing around Twitch and Nomsy. This is usually what your opener looks like for these type of games. And the reason this works out really well is because Nomsy with the Shyvana will give you Dragon, which then gives you anti-heal for the rest of the game. And a lot of times you'll probably keep this Nomsy for a very long time. Even when you have the Varus, you'll still have to put a better unit to keep up with the damage output. But eventually you'll switch out the Nomsy once you find a Smolder, and this will be your final board, something like this. And then obviously you can drop Jace to play Briar when you find a Briar. And this is like your final board that's pretty well completed on level 8. If you level past level 8, a lot of times you can either fit in, I don't really ever consider Eldritch like the major thing to fit in, but if you find a Nami and you can make it work, you can throw an Eldritch. But a lot of times you're just going to shove in extra pyro units, so you'll put in somebody like a Shen who has a little bit of a stun that can make that work. Right now, Dragon isn't that important because Dragon is pretty ass. In the upcoming patch though, 3 Dragon might be very viable because the Smolder, they're changing Smolder that instead of doing the Dragon update being extra healing, which is pretty useless, it's going to be damage amp. So your Smolder is going to pop off really hard. In terms of items, you always want to put Smolder with a Gwinsu. If you have a Pyro Emblem, you can also put it on Smolder. Smolder really likes attack speed, so you put him stuff like bow items. Gwinsu is really, really good on him. Varus, I think a lot of the times you're just building him for like these insanely high damage output. So something like you usually want a Last Whisper for some shred to increase your damage output, and then it's usually red buff. I think even like DB sometimes, but you're usually aiming for like red buff. But if you can't make those items, then bow items are also good. I've seen people play around like Runans with Varus and it'd be really well. I wouldn't get baited too much by items. I would just try and make the best items possible. It's just never Gwinsu on Varus. That's usually pretty bad. But anyways, that's like what your board kind of looks like. Here we're just playing out our stage 2. I was angling more towards Kog'Maw reroll this game just because I started with the Kog'Maw. I felt like I had a good enough start with the Kog'Maw. The main issue that I'm having this game is that it's a little bit unfortunate with my Pandoras because basically I made Shojin on Kog'Maw. Shojin's really good on Kog'Maw because when Kog'Maw casts, he'll make like the Tristana do a bunch of extra damage because he'll give attack speed to the Tristana. So they work really well hand in hand with each other. The problem with me playing the Kog'Maw from this spot is that I literally don't have a bow yet. And I could have won a lot of these fights if my Pandoras rolled into a bow. I'm rolling a lot of components here. I'm not slamming additional items. So I made the Shojin very early because I had those items to slam. But I really, really, really want to make a Runan so that I can save a lot of HP this stage. Because my board is pretty reliably strong. I'm also decently rich and have a lot of items. It is Crab Brave, so the board's going to be a little bit more inflated than usual. But I just don't have the bow, and that's why I'm not slamming additional items. You might say like, oh, why don't you hold on to a glove? Why don't you make a like a dragon claw for your frontline unit or something else? The reason I'm not slamming items is because I'm trying to give myself the greatest chance of one of those components rolling into a bow, because I want to make red buff, I want to make Runans, I want to make Gwinsu for Tristana eventually. So it starts with a bow. I've been rolling 4 components on my bench for like the entire stage basically, and none of them turned into a bow. That's pretty unlucky. So already I'm kind of starting off the game, I'm like, this is not going well, but we'll see how it actually ends up, because obviously it's still early in the game. I think on stream I was probably bitching at this point. I was like, probably like, okay guys, like I'm fucking pissed, like where's my bow? Right. I think I have the inking now working, so I can also draw up on the screen. Sometimes it doesn't work and then I have to reset it. But anyways, if we go through our main goal here is to try and find some stabilization point around Kog'Maw when we start rolling on stage 3. You usually roll on 3-2, you'll go to level 6, and you'll roll until you have everybody upgraded, or you'll roll until around 30 gold or everybody upgrade, whichever one happens first. So here, now I get a bunch of bows. I make double Runans. Runans is okay on Tristana as well. This will eventually be a Tristana with my plans. And I think IE is also pretty good on Tristana, but I'm not going to make IE because once again, I'm looking for a bow because I want to make a Last Whisper. I'm trying to make as strong an item sets as possible while still within reason. These are pretty good item sets for what I need to go for. Gwinsu is usually really good on Tristana. It's very good in the mid game, but it's very poor in the late game. Because the way you should always think about Gwinsu is that Gwinsu's power is from stacking. And late game, the boards are going to explode, right? Late game, people are going to have really, really strong boards. Your boards won't last as long, so the Gwinsu won't stack as high. So then a lot of the times, instead of a Gwinsu, you'd rather just have a item that uses a bow component, like a Runans, because it gives you a bunch of attack speed anyways. And the Gwinsu won't, like, stack up much beyond that. That's, like, the logic behind it. So I usually don't, you know, I'm not greeting, like, Gwinsu in this case. Here I'm looking for a silver augment. Item collector is pretty good. There's a lot of different items. I do have 2 Runans, so I think that that's a problem. And this is giving me my level 6 roll down. So I'm going to roll down, and I'm basically looking for Kog'Maw upgrade, this upgrade, right? I'm basically looking to upgrade everybody. I'm going to roll till around 30 gold. The reason you roll till around 30 gold is because you don't want to break your econ beyond that, because 30 gold is really easy for you to level up and then make it's really easy from 30 gold with the interest that you get from having 3 gold stacks to then make 40 gold and then make 50, so you can reestablish your econ of making 50 gold, having 50 gold per round and making maximum amount of interest. So if you lose too much econ, then you run into a problem where it's going to take way too long to stabilize your board. Now, here's the funny part. So I rolled all of this. I'm not really angling towards a level 8 comp, but this is an example of where you should pay attention. You should really pivot. It works with reroll comps. It works with non-reroll comps. It works with any comp that you play. Basically what happened is, on my roll down, I found more Varuses on level 6 than I found Kog'Maws. Kog'Maw's also contested because this guy's playing Nunu hero. I thought this guy would have pivoted and played towards Veigar, or Viger. Viger is like really strong with the Nunu hero, because the Nunu does magic damage as well. So a lot of times your max cap isn't to play around Kog'Maw whenever you're getting like Blitzcrank hero or Nunu hero. Your max cap is usually that you play around with the hero augments, at least. You play around Viger, because Viger does way more damage and also deals with the same type of damage, so you don't have to worry about like armor shred versus magic resist. So you could just worry about like magic resist and sundering, right? Then having to build both. In this case, I'm just gonna pivot to Varus. So I made this Shojin. I'm just gonna reroll the Shojin, and I'm gonna reroll this. I'm gonna reroll both my items that I already made. It's basically a lot. This is like a hard pivot because I rolled a lot of gold on level 6 looking for the Kog'Maw. I should have scouted a little bit better. I think I was already aware that I might be contested on Kog'Maw, but I figured that once that guy saw my spot and my item slams, the correct decision would be him to just play towards the other units, right? I wouldn't hold that many extra Nunus, and he could easily have like a very easy first if he just plays around the Nunu into the Viger. But obviously it's up to him. Maybe that's just what he hit. He already had the Kog'Maw upgrade. He probably just hit it naturally, and that's why he committed to it. So I should have, what I'm saying is I should have scouted a little bit better before doing my roll down. But on my roll down, because I found all these Varuses, I kind of got bailed out a little bit by the game. Basically my items are just gonna be Runans, red buff, and I'm gonna make a last whisper to give myself the armor shred, or sorry, armor sundering. Which is really funny because I took the bow on carousel, and then the game, remember before I wasn't getting any items that I needed, and I was like, I really need some items that I can slam. It literally gives me a last whisper when I had to like build it up from scratch with my Pandoras. But anyways, these can turn into any frontline items because I'll use them as frontline items, or if it runs into like a smolder and or other backline unit item, I will put it on the backline as well. But I'm gonna full pivot out of this board, and I'm probably just gonna play vertical shapeshifters with this setup, because it's probably my best option of allowing this Varus to do as much damage as possible. Like I said, it's gonna be a very hard transition. The reason I'm even going for this is because I'm Varus paired. If I had only one Varus, I probably wouldn't even consider it. I would continue to play for Kog'Maw Tristana. If you don't know, even if someone's contesting you on a 2-cost reroll, it's really unfortunate, it's unlucky, but you can both hit. Right, there's enough 2 costs in the pool that both of you can actually hit the 3-star. So long as both of you are stable, you can both still play for a top 4. It just severely hurts both your chances of doing so. But I'm not too worried about that anymore. So that's the reason why I was still like, even if I was contested, I'd just play Kog'Maw. Like I said, we get a frontline item, we're just gonna take it. And as soon as this rolls into another frontline item, we're also gonna take it on the Pandoras. With Varus especially, Varus is really not that stable until you have 2-star and until you have like an insurmountable front line. So I don't expect to win a lot of these fights. And the reason that Varus pair is so important is because if you look at my gold, I rolled very deep on level 6. So in this game, it's going to be very hard for me to roll down on level 8. Right now I'm level 660 gold. I'm not even going to be level 850. I'm not going to have a lot of gold to roll down on level 8. And I still have to pivot my entire front line, or I have to pivot most of my front line towards the later part of the game. So we run into an issue where I might not have the ability to actually like win out. Like, I'm not particularly strong now, and I'm not particularly rich to put myself in a win out potential. But I feel confident enough with 2 Varuses that, you know, there's sometimes where you roll on level 8 and you don't see a single copy of Varus. I already have 2. I can play towards this uncontested line and try and play for a top 4. And that's the way you should always kind of think about it. If you have like an option, if you have an easier option to just like guarantee yourself like a 4th even, it's okay, just do it. Also, you can see that at one point in my game, towards this mid game, I pivoted to having 4 Bastion. Yes, I was explaining how Shapeshifter is better and how you should play around 8 Shapeshifter. I'm playing around Bastion because it's the same idea, right? You make this insurmountable front line so that the Varus has time to cast, so the Varus can do the damage that's necessary. Because Varus just takes a while, I feel. Like, compared to a lot of other carries, it just takes a while to, like, actually delete the units on the board. But once he starts deleting the units on the board, it becomes very strong. We got a Spatula. Spatula actually works really well with this comp because you can make a Pyro +1. Usually you're not playing that many Pyro units with this board because you want to have the front line. The front line's more important than having the 5 Pyro a lot of the time. So in this case, it's fine. Because I got the Spatula for free, I can actually make use of it. So I just make Pyro Emblem, and I'm just gonna play around that I'm gonna play around that. Pyro Emblem is really good because it's also really, really good on Smolder. Smolder loves to have attack speed, so putting it on Smolder will make things really great. The other problem I have here is also how I'm going to hit 6 Shapeshifter. I might just stick around with these Bastions for a while. You saw in the previous fight, I downgraded my Nunu from a Nunu 2 to a Nunu 1. What I mean by that is I had a Nunu 2 on my board and I sold it. The reason I did that was to make Econ. I'm really scared about my how my potential roll down is going to go on level 8. I'm scared that I might not hit a stabilization point and I might not even hit Varus 2. And then I might just lose out for free. So these rounds that are not going to be that close anyways that I'm probably going to lose, I would rather just make it so that I have a bunch of gold, because then at least I can buy units and make things a little bit better. We see that Spellblades, Ascension is really awkward because it's hard to deal with. Keepers is pretty good, but I just take double item collector here. I have a lot of items. Yeah, so item collector gets a lot of value, and I find a Smolder instantly, which is great. I'll hold on to the bow now because I can itemize the Smolder, put the Pyro Emblem on the Smolder. Smolder's a huge stabilization point, even as a Smolder 1. It's very, very massive. And then I just find another Smolder, which is great. So now I'm Smolder paired, which means, like, you know, one good carousel and all of a sudden I have Smolder 2, and then I'll be super stable. More so than most others. Here, I'm just putting in the Pyro right now. I'm playing 5 Pyro. 5 Pyro is a comp that is perfectly fine. I could fit in something better, like I could drop this guy for a Shapeshifter, which I should have done, I think. Or like some other frontline unit at least. I'm sure there's one of these that I can play that's a little bit better. The reason that I'm playing 5 Pyro, the 5 Pyro board is very strong, but it's very reliant on you having like really good burst damage. So the Shapeshifter one is a lot easier to build your board around because you don't have to worry too much about the amount of damage that you output. Because the thing with the 5 Pyro is that your front line's gonna be really shit, so you're just hoping that you're gonna get that 5 Pyro execute and delete the units really fast. And that's why you just need a lot of damage. So I prefer playing around the Shapeshifters even with a Pyro +1. Maybe that's not 100% accurate. There's probably more success with 5 Pyro. I just feel it's a little bit harder to play and it's a little bit more high roll. But for the time being, I don't have 6 Shapeshifter. I barely even have 4 Shapeshifter. Well, I have 4 now, but this is a better board for the time being, right? I either put in Bastion, and I can play 4 Shapeshifter. And I'm dropping Pyro because I'm just giving myself a lot of frontline, right? Bastion gives armor to all my Shapeshifters, which is great. They're all getting a bunch of HP because of item collector. I don't have that good of a combat augment at all, so I don't expect to win every single fight, but I should be relatively stable this stage with the Varus 2. I was able to find that last copy that I needed, so now I have decent damage output. My frontline isn't that bad either, so I feel pretty confident with being able to win a couple of these fights. And if I don't win the fights, I'll at least take narrow losses so that I'm not in a bad spot towards the future when I have to roll down again for like a, what's it called, for Nasus 2 and frontline upgrades. Right now my frontline's pretty ass. I think that maybe instead of Bastion I should just play the 5 Pyro. I think that because my frontline is so poor, I should just try and cheese the fights by Varus just executing some units. So we'll see. Here I decide to just take another Spatula. The reason I took another Spatula is because I can play 5 Pyro now, which is alright. I'm also holding on to a bow here on the Smolder, so I actually have the Pyro Spat. It's not like I have to wait for Pandora's to give it to me. So I just take the spat, and the other reason I took the spat is just because, like, I'm gonna be honest, these last couple rounds I probably wasn't scouting that much. A lot of times when I see a spat on carousel and I'm already in a piss poor spot, I don't want to give it to anybody else, because what if they just hit like some crazy vertical and they just win the game? It happens so many times. Like, I'm like, I don't really need a spat, and then like I look back on somebody's board and they have 8 witchcraft, right? Like, you have to scout really well to make sure that doesn't happen, but we'll see. Anyways, now I have 6 shapeshifter, so my front line, even though they're all 1-star, is gonna be way stronger, which is really nice. And I just put the Pyro Emblem on this guy. I can put on Briar eventually. I'll sell the Jace for a Briar. And I'm rolling a little bit every turn, because as soon as I can upgrade even these lower cost ones like the Nico and the Swain, upgrading any of them will help me out a lot. It'll make my board a lot more tanky. But with 6 shapeshifter, even a Nasus 1, you'll see this guy is so incredibly difficult to kill. I also made Redemption, so he has the passive healing based on percentage HP. So a lot of these fights, you know, this guy's very upgraded, very strong, right? What's it called? Flexible, extra emblems, really hard to take down. But as you can see, they're narrow losses. This is a huge bailout though. Double Nasus shop, so now I should be fine. Which is so funny to me. I might even get bailed out by the Smolder, by the way. Like, if I roll and I hit any Smolders, like, don't I just win the game for free? But anyways, because I'm so low HP, I also want to roll every turn to buy a charm. Ideally, I roll for a combat charm. See, that's why I didn't buy that one. I want to roll until I have something that's, like, somewhat useful. This one kind of sucks, though, so I kind of got hoed by the charms. This is definitely, I got set 12 on the bingo card if we're playing on the live stream. Because I would have much rather had a like any sort of combat to make sure that I can win these fights as easily as possible. But like I said, yes, we're 4 pyro. We will eventually, once my board is very stable, we can push level 9 and then play 5 pyro and get the 5 pyro benefits. But for the time being, we just want to upgrade all of these units, right? Look at it this way. I'm Swain paired, I'm Elise paired, I'm Nico paired. Upgrading any of these gives me a really good chance of top 4ing, because it makes my board that much stronger. See, so now Swain 2. That's why we're rolling a lot, and we want to make sure we roll for charm as well. We don't just want to say, okay, we're fine, Nasus 2, Varus 2, and you just sit there and you just hope that you hit. There's a lot of hero augments, right? There's Elise, there is Lilia, there is also what's it called? Elise, Lilia, and Nunu. There's 3 hero augments in the lobby, and they're all very strong. We want to make sure that we buy charms every single turn to make sure that we're not accidentally losing fights where we could have easily won them. We're also low HP, so we don't want to overgreed and then just run into a problem later. Here I want to save this. Yeah, I want to save the rod because I want to make a Guinsoo for Smolder. Guinsoo is really good on Smolder because Smolder usually can de-aggro really easily because he's flying around a lot. And he also stacks the Guinsoo very fast. Especially with a Pyro Emblem, it makes it so you're just like pumping out damage incredibly, like in an incredibly insane rate. So anyways, now that we have a lot of upgrades, the only person that we would be rolling for is Nico upgrade, which isn't as important, right? We have the Nasus upgrade, we have the Swain upgrade. Oh, we also got the Nico upgrade. So now that we're only rolling for Smolder, we're not going to roll that deep, and now we can start angling ourselves to go level 9. Because there's nothing else to really roll for. We're just going to roll for charm because, like I said, we're low HP, so we don't want to accidentally lose a fight and then be 1 life and then fight a high roller and lose the game, because that's how you can just randomly go bot 4 even though your board is stable. But we're decently stable right now. There obviously will be boards that are stronger than us. I expect to lose to boards like the Nunu board, even the Elise board. The Elise board was in like a bit of a transition phase. They didn't really have a backline carry, so I was able to cheese a win against them. But I expect some of the other hero augments, like especially the Lilia board, to just completely beat my ass still. So, you know, we don't want to necessarily greed too much. I should probably roll for charm here. I'm holding on to these extra Nasus. I don't think I need them. It's not that important because I'm not going to hit Nasus 3, especially in a lobby like this. So I should just sell them and roll for charm here. I think this turn, because I'm making 30, I don't want to make less than 30. I want to greed 1 turn and then buy the charm next turn. However, if I lose this round, I'll feel really fucking stupid. That's the thing. Right, making 30, remember I was saying before, 30 is really good because it reestablishes your econ. If I make 30 this round, my econ will be good for the rest of the game because I'll have enough gold to roll as well as have enough gold to make it to make econ intervals so that I can level up. Yeah, this is probably a charm diff. I'm not gonna lie. That was super greedy of me. I wouldn't do that. If I had to redo this game, I wouldn't do that. I would definitely roll for a charm here. Because I can sell these Nasus and then still make 30. That's the thing. Right, I'm holding 8 gold on bench for no reason. I'm actually holding 9 gold because who the fuck cares about this Elise either? I can also sell the Elise. So I just lost HP for no reason. If this comes down to like, what's it called? What was I? I was at 25. If this comes down to like a 10 HP diff, like if I lose, if you see that like, you know, the difference between me and first or second place or even third place is 10 HP, it's because I misplayed that round in particular, right? That's literally what it was. Anyways, I roll, I hit a smolder too, so you know, great on that. And I overrolled anyways, right? Like wouldn't it have been better if I just did that last turn? Like wouldn't it have been better if I just rolled for a charm last turn and won the last fight? Like, any of the charms would have been nice. Like, I should have just rolled for charm last turn. I just threw away 10 HP because I was just super greedy. I think I looked at that guy's board and I thought I can beat it no matter what. But I just couldn't. But as you can see, now my board's actually insanely strong, right? I have a Smolder 2. I need to get a third item on him, but I have a Smolder 2. I have Smolder 2, I have Varus 2, I have Nasus 2. My board is actually like, this is, in most lobbies, this is a quote-unquote firstable board. This is a board that once you hit it, it's very hard to find the Smolder, by the way. The Smolder is the key. The Smolder does so much fucking damage, right? And while the Varus is taking his lolly diddly time jumping up and throwing shit, you know, the Smolder will carry. So, anyways, I want a Smolder item here. I think I just take Gunblade. I don't know what else I could take. I don't need anti-heal because I have Dragon already, so it's fine. Gunblade's okay. It's not the greatest item on Smolder, but it does just passively heal my entire board a little bit. And Smolder does so much damage that it works out really nicely. I think that I could reforge it and Pandora's the item, but I think that's too greedy, right? Because Gunblade's good enough, right? If I got, like, let's say I got Spark, right? Like, there was a Smolder with Spark. Let's say I had Smolder with Spark. Then I would probably Pandora's it. Because it's not going to be a Smolder item. Itemizing these units doesn't really matter. So, at that point, it's just kind of shit. Anyways, now I have the fear of God in me. After I lost that one round, I lost 10 HP. Now I don't fucking risk it. I'm just rolling every single turn. I should probably sell these Nasus. This Nasus pair. If I'm being honest, I'm kind of holding it because I'm thinking to myself, maybe I have an out. Like if I find 1 or 2 more Nasus and then you get like the champ duplicator, like sometimes you just get bailed out. But I think it's more important to just level and just put in an extra pyro, and I can probably cap my board a little bit higher. Right? Like look, this guy's really strong and he's holding a Nasus as well. Like the whole lobby, there's many people in the lobby that have Nasus, so it's not like I'm hitting it. It's not like I'm hitting 3-star. But yeah, now I'm just like Smolder. As you can see, the Gwinsu stacks are insane. Gunblade as well gives my whole board a little bit of sustain, so it's an okay item. It's good enough, right? It's not the best item. It's not the worst item. Getting Pyro stacks. The Pyro stacks don't matter that much for Varus, I find, but it matters so much for like starting attack speed on the Smolder is insane, right? So fuck it, feed the fire stacks. And we're kind of just gonna cheese our way up, right? Like we had a bad spot. There was a couple rounds that was overly greedy. But this was a good pivot. This was a good pivot off of Kog'Maw board. I don't have the best item augments. I don't have the best augments. I don't have the best, like, you know, items. Like, my items are actually really good. I shouldn't lie. Like, these items are really great on Ferris. These items are alright. But what I mean to say is that this wasn't, like, the most high roll, like, bullshit game ever. It was more so like, hey, if you see Varus's, or any 4 cost, that is. If you see 4 costs and you have the option to pivot into the comp, having the copies of them eliminates a lot of the risk of playing the 4 costs. The biggest risk with playing the 4 costs is when you roll on level 8, you have 0 copies of them, and you hit none of them. If you already have guaranteed copies of the unit, so in the early game I hit these extra Varuses, then it eliminates some of that difficulty, right? I think this is Scuttle Puddles. I don't have to worry about the crab here, but, you know, we'll see. I should be able to level next turn. I'm holding on to the Shen. I could put in 5 Pyro. It gives me a better execute. So it gives a better kill shot for the Varus and the Smolder, which could be beneficial in some of the fights. The lobby is very close, by the way. So this is what I mean to say. Remember that one turn that I greeted? I would like to drive home that point because it's something that, like, you know, I sometimes greed and then I realize that I shouldn't have, and this is why I play in a very conservative way a lot of the time. I usually sack my positioning a lot. I sack my board a lot of the time. Instead of playing for like first, I'll just play for like a third/fourth. Because imagine if I had 10 more HP. Look at how close the lobby is. 10 more HP, I'd be all the way up here, right? It's insanely important. I don't even know if I beat this guy. Does Nasus clutch? Oh, bet. Nasus got the execute, I think. Oh, that's so lucky. That's so good for me. It's still not a guaranteed top 4, by the way, because both of these guys could be stronger than me, and if they fight me and I lose, then I can easily just go bot 4. But so long as these guys die next turn, if they fight some of the stronger opponents, that'll be really great for me. Here I level to 9. I put in the 5 pyro. I get 2 extra items, which I'll probably just itemize this Nico. I don't have a remover and I can't really use the reforger, so I'm just going to put these items on a frontline unit and make them a little bit tanky. This is the Sugarcraft guy. So this guy was very strong and he beat me last time, but I do think that I'll be stronger than him in this fight. We'll have to see. It just comes down to my Smolder. My Smolder's getting stunned a bunch from the Tahm Kench. Oh, nice. My Varus killed the Fiora before she was able to do anything. Yeah. The Smolder, so stable. That guy I was worried about, so that was one of the people that was bought for, and now they died. But as you can see, the lobby's very close, right? Imagine if I had plus 10 HP. I'll say it again. Plus 10 HP here is a guaranteed second. 15 HP, I could die in 1 turn. I could die next turn. This guy's Diana too, I'm pretty sure. We buy Charm here. I didn't read what Charm it was, but I don't think it's that important. This guy's scary because he has Briar 2, Diana 2. Like, these are like those Scuttle Puddle boards when you're high rolling. Right, like I high rolled a little bit, but I didn't have very strong. I didn't have a very strong board for much of the game because I was playing around, like, you know, hoping that I would play around this Varus board. Like this guy that has Arcana in, you know, I don't know if I beat this guy. Camille 2, Arcana, Milio 2, right? That's why I hate Scuttle Puddle sometimes. It's like it's really hard to play a normal game because like. Some people, if they like hit their board really early, they will just go straight to level 9. They'll have a bunch of upgraded legendaries. The board's gonna be really fucking intense, and it's just really annoying sometimes, right? The divide between the high rollers and the low rollers is very big. This was kind of average game, right? I high rolled into these Varuses, but recognizing the pivot was like the skill expressive part, in my opinion. And of course, it's just gonna be like the hero augments and some other stuff in this top 4. But once again, imagine if I had 10 more HP. I'd be playing for first if I had 10 more HP. There's a good chance I go 4th here, right? I don't think I beat this board. I don't think I beat this board either, right? Of all these boards, I don't think I beat any of them if we're scouting them out, right? They're just all so incredibly strong because they have like these high cap versions, right? This board, while it's very strong and very consistent, it doesn't cap as high because I'm not playing around. You know, there's not like, unless I hit a Briar 2. Right, like I don't have a single copy of a Briar, right? This guy has Arcana in, his whole board's getting true damage. He has a upgraded Camille, which, you know, say it as you will, whatever. Upgraded fucking this, upgraded fucking that. It's like, okay, well, I get it. Okay, the whole fucking board's strong, right? If you look at my board, it's getting absolutely deleted, right? I just can't keep up at all. So this is a loss here. I wish I had 10 more HP because I would have lived. And we'll see where I end up, because now it's just like wherever I end up, I end up. I'm waiting on these two. One of them is going to die. Luckily, it was this guy. So that guy died, so I get a 3rd here. Right? If I managed my HP a little bit better, I probably would have gone a 2nd. But all in all, decent pivot. Decent job getting out of the situation that I was in, which was playing around the Kog'Maw board. This was back when I was Diamond 1. I think now I'm Diamond 2. I think I ended stream Diamond 2. I've been taking a bit of a break. I took a week off because I really hate this patch. Because I just wasn't having fun. It was just a lot of fucking dog shit games that I had. But anyways. This is the Pyro Varus board. You can try it out in your lobbies. Obviously, this was a very inflated game because it was Scuttle Puddle, but you have to understand that my board wasn't very good for most of the game, and I was still able to top 4 pretty consistently. Obviously, this board is very, very gate-kept by Nasus. These 3 units basically here, right? Smolder, Nasus, and Varus. If you do not hit them, it is very hard to play this board. So like any 4-cost board, you have to make sure that you have a lot of gold early. This game, I didn't demonstrate having a lot of gold early because I was playing around Kog'Maw reroll, and I literally just found more Varuses than I did Kog'Maws. So it just worked out really awkwardly that I played Varus from a spot where normally you wouldn't be able to play Varus. Typically, if you're playing around Varus, you wouldn't do such a big roll down. You would sack some HP on stage 3 in order to make sure you have enough gold to roll down on stage 4. And then come 4-2, you would want to roll at least 50 gold. So I want to say greater than or equal to 50 gold. If you don't have 50 gold to roll down on 4-2, then you're probably in a bad spot and you're going bot 4, because you need enough gold to guarantee not only one copy of these units, but you have to have enough gold to hit the one copies of the units so you're stable, as well as have econ so that you can reestablish you have to have econ so you can reestablish your money, so that by the end of the stage, like starting of stage 5, you can send it again, right? You can roll down again to hit the units, right? So a lot of times when I say you're rolling 50 gold, if you roll down 50 gold and you roll down to 0 and you have no copies of anybody, you're kind of screwed, because you're not gonna upgrade them. Ideally, you want to hit like Varus 1 Smolder 1 with like, Varus 1 Nasus 1, and still have like 20-30 gold left to spare, and then you can use that gold to roll for charms, and then after the next neutral round you can then resend it and then go as deep as you want to try and find the upgrade so you can guarantee your top 4. And that's usually how you play 4 cost. But in this case, I just found the Varuses, more Varuses than Kog'Maw, so I just pivoted, and at that point, you're just trying to find one Varus to upgrade to Varus 2. It's going to stabilize you, so it was a relatively okay strategy. But anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and tomorrow I should be live to play the new patch. I'll mention it in my Discord, so you can join the Discord if you want to know exactly when I'm live. But we're going to be playing hopefully a bunch of games. We'll see how it goes, and then starting tomorrow, the videos will be from current patch onwards or update stuff. And I'm also going to work on guides starting this patch. Once they do, like, if they do any B patching or anything like that, I'll make sure to wait to do them till after that. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.